Alright, let's test this out. Okay, so the wife's little phone holder thing is still busted. Still without a little device to hold my phone. So this is what we're doing now. I've got this just sort of resting in the gauge cluster in front of me, so I can't see how fast I'm going, but that's okay. I know how fast I'm going. And we'll try recording this way. You're gonna miss seeing my face whenever I make a turn or change lanes because you're looking at me through the steering wheel. Anyway, folks, good day. I'm making another video. I think what I want to talk about briefly is the recent revelations about January 6th. Now, I know this is a Canadian channel and what happens in the US is not really pertain to me, but of course, as you know, I was a Trump supporter. I am a Trump supporter. And what happened on January 6th and the media narrative that was spun immediately after January 6th never really sat right with me. I was like, this seems a little bit contrived, shall we say. And now, as it turns out, based on recent footage released on Tucker Carlson's show, and then other things coming out from other people who were in the know, looks like everything that we saw on the mainstream media was all orchestrated. It was all a PsyOp. It was all planned. It turns out that a couple of people who were involved in vandalism and acts of violence were actually Antifa that were posing as Trump supporters, of course. And of course there's Ray Epps, who seems to have given up the ghost. He's nowhere to be found. He was on the FBI's most wanted list immediately after January 6th. He's on footage instigating violence, instigating acts of vandalism, and then all of a sudden he's off the list, and then nobody knows. The entire January 6th narrative is basically disintegrating as we speak. If you're not aware, turns out that with the recent revelations from Tucker Carlson's video footage of what do you call it, the Q Shaman, I think is what his nickname was, being basically escorted around by Capitol Police and given access to the Senate rotunda, or the Senate floor. I don't know what the difference is, but anyway, given access to the Senate, and now right now he's being held for like 4 years for his role in January 6th, when in reality he was let in, he was escorted around by Capitol Police. They had every opportunity to arrest him, and they didn't. And it was all done in order to spin a narrative, kind of like the Covington kids, you know. The narrative got spun before the facts came out. And then you had this entire committee, this January 6th committee that went on, where they cherry-picked the footage, they cherry-picked the data that that helped them build their narrative about it being an insurrection, all this shit. And it turns out it's less than half of it is true. There were a handful of people on one side of the Capitol who were engaged in acts of violence and vandalism. But most of the people who actually entered and occupied the Capitol were allowed in by Capitol Police as though they were just tourists touring the Capitol. And they had MAGA hats on, and this was also recently there's been a case against somebody. I want to say his name's like Palladizzo or something. He was a guy who was arrested involved in January 6th, right? And with the release of the footage and with other information that has come to light, he's filed for either dismissal of the charges with prejudice or an absolute mistrial. The reason being, it turns out, not only did the prosecutor withhold evidence from the defense and the defense counsel, not only did they do that, but they also fabricated evidence, and the prosecutor was spying on the or listening in, intercepting communications between the defendant and his client, violating a sacred a sacred right that all accused have, that they have a certain level of privacy to be expected when dealing with their attorney, their counsel. So they've moved from, and I would not be surprised if they got the mistrial or they got a dismissal with prejudice. And this is what leads me to believe that the entire thing's unraveling. It's becoming clear now that the whole January 6th thing, complete PsyOp. It was done in an effort to basically undermine Donald Trump outside of his role in government, in his private life, and to prevent him from seeking the White House again, or prevent him from ever being elected again. Now, of course, to the diehard Democrats, the cult, this will work, because as far as they're concerned, it was an insurrection. As far as they're concerned, it was a violent act of rebellion by those crazy tinfoil hat wearing MAGA supporters, the ultra MAGA, the far right extremist groups, right? When in reality, what it was people went to protest, Capitol Police let them in, and some vandalism happened. Anyway, it's all a big bunch of nonsense, and I hope that the story sort of trickles and insinuates itself into the brains of the normies that are sort of in the center, the undecided voters who maybe were buying the January 6th narrative, but now they're like, well, wait a second, maybe it was all bullshit. I think they're seeing the fallout of a Biden presidency, and I think if you were undecided at the time of the last election, and you grudgingly pulled the lever for Biden, I think if you're one of these people in the United States, you're going to wholeheartedly pull the lever for Trump in 2024. And the hope is that the guy wins. But we shall see. We shall see if we make it to 2024. I still have this niggling suspicion, or this thought in my head that the world as we know it is going to come to an end by the end of 2023. Oh, this turn can always be so annoying. Anyway, folks, I'm here at the park. Kenzie's getting ready to run around and frolic in the snow. I believe there is a Casual AF live stream tonight with Irving Twin. I have reached out to him. I have not heard back from him yet, but I expect to see you over there on that channel tonight, probably around 10 p.m. And I hope you all are taking care of yourselves on this beautiful, snowy Saturday. And I'll talk to you all later. All right, love you. Bye.